questions while we are going through the webinar, please go ahead, drop them in, and we'll also have a time for questions at the end. Right, that's it. Over to you, Sidharth.
Thank you, Joanna, and welcome everyone. Hope you all are having a good evening. I know it's Sunday, and grateful for all of you to log in. Before I kind of kick off the presentation, just wanted to kind of know my audience as well. Any of you working specifically in SEO currently, feel free to drop it in chat. And anyone who is kind of looking to get into the SEO industry as well, please kind of add that message in chat as well. Or if you want to go off the microphone and speak up, I mean, I'm happy to kind of listen in as well. And then probably we can get started. Okay. Thanks for sharing, Sophia. Good to know that, Vardha.
I think there might be some people who are wondering what is SEO as well.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about this industry is everybody can't know everything, and nobody can't know very little as well. So it's going to be a fun session where you kind of just understand the fundamentals and the basics of SEO in terms of what is SEO, how is it used by various brands, organizations, even individuals, and how can you probably become a professional in the space and contribute towards bringing profitability to businesses and organizations that you want to work with. So, yeah, it's a good mix of people here who are already in marketing, have some knowledge about SEO, are doing SEO, or probably are interested to get into the field. So, with that, probably what we can do is I'll get started with the presentation, and then we'll save about 20 minutes for Q&A at the end. So let me share screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yep, we can. Yes.
Perfect. So, okay. So to get us started, let me take you through just what are the things that we'll be looking at today. So firstly, starting off with the fundamentals of SEO. So this is where I'll speak about the three primary pillars in SEO, and also kind of give you an idea on how SEO works and why is it important for companies and brands to kind of have some SEO presence, and to kind of also have professionals working on their organic search results. Then we'll look at some quick trends in SEO currently. I mean, we are almost in Q4 of 2021, but still the trends that you will see and kind of we'll discuss is something that is still prevalent and only going to grow further into 2022. Then you will kind of look at how and where to reach your audience. So this is primarily looking at the various intent funnels as well as the content kind of pillars and pieces that you will use to support those intent funnels and the buyer's journey. Then we'll quickly just look at some of the SEO tools out there, some of them which are free and some of them which are paid, so that you can kind of get started with the free versions and then kind of upskill and get into the paid versions of tools as well. And finally, we'll look at how to kind of level up your game in the SEO space. What is it that would work in your favor as a potential career, as well as how to kind of grow from strength to strength in the industry as an SEO specialist, a strategist, and probably becoming a leader in the SEO space. And of course, and all of this kind of comes down to how and what do you look at in a career in SEO, and we'll discuss some of the core skills required, both hard skills and soft skills. So with that, yeah, I mean, just a shout out to our friends at SEM Rush, or SEMrush as industry folks call them. They have some amazing content on their website, so definitely would recommend following their blog, following their social pages, and kind of looking at how they are just helping build the SEO industry as well. Fun fact, they recently went public as well on Nasdaq, so that's just testament to what important role that this tool or software plays in the industry. So, I mean, yeah, just to get us started in talking about the fundamentals, right? So, as I mentioned, like SEO can be primarily divided into three pillars, being technical SEO, on-page SEO, and off-page SEO. The difference here, of course, is think of all of these just as building a house or like a construction of a building, right? So technical SEO is like the strong foundations that you build on, which then you do the layering of the bricks and also kind of building out the different columns and pillars with content. So that's the on page element. And then finally, the off page is where you are actually beautifying the building, ensuring that everything looks good. People kind of appreciate the magnificence of the building that you have built and the house that you built. So that's just to kind of draw an analogy of what you can think of the three pillars, and to kind of go in a little deeper, so that just I mean, some of this can be a little technical, so I don't want to go very in depth as well, but just to kind of give you an understanding. So technical SEO is something that, of course, as the website owner, or as you call them, webmasters or web administrators, you have the kind of responsibility and the authority to kind of build out how you want search engines to be able to discover your content, your website, your domain, and all the activities that you're doing online. So think of the website as, of course, the face of your brand and your organization. And if at all it doesn't get seen or recognized by search engines, it becomes difficult for your brand or your organization to kind of be searchable. And that is where so there is this I mean, technical term, which is indexing of pages. So indexing is nothing but like when you go into a library and you are looking for a specific book within a specific genre by a specific author. So unless and until you have a repository, or like just a place where everything is stored, probably in an Excel or probably even in some kind of digital tool, you won't be able to actually go individually to that section and locate it unless everything is labeled properly. So that is almost something like how you present your website to Google as well, or any of the other search engines. I would tend to kind of always mention Google, primarily because they still own about 90% of all real estate in the search world. So bear that in mind whenever you are kind of either working towards optimizing your search results, or even kind of wanting to kind of get a new blog or a new domain registered. Like, Google is probably what is going to be dictating a lot of the activities that you do online. So with that, I mean, like I mentioned, so indexing is one wherein you are able to kind of actually put down exactly what kind of content and what kind of different pages that you have on your website. So that is what will be defined in something called as a sitemap. So there are many types of sitemaps that can be there. So XML sitemap is a kind of sitemap which is indexable and crawlable by search engines. You can also have an HTML sitemap on your website, which is more for the users who come to your website to kind of just navigate to and understand how exactly your website architecture is, and where would they probably find the best information for themselves. and unless of course they don't want to use the search functionality on the website. But think of, I mean, like I said, technical SEO is like the foundation. So unless and until you address all the gaps in the foundations to begin with, it will be difficult to kind of build on your authority and build on your kind of just search visibility as well for the brand or the organization that you're working for. And there are different elements, of course, that come into technical SEO. So there's site speed, there's schema markups, which basically allow you to kind of show different types of search results in search engines. So there are review snippets, there are news snippets, there are featured snippets, and all of this is something that you have to build out in a way that you are structuring your data on the kind of content piece that you are addressing as well. So if you're building out a blog, or if you're building out a product landing page, or probably even like a checkout page for users to actually just fill in the details and probably either do a contact us, or actually if you are an e-commerce platform to actually check out with a payment gateway as well attached to it. But these are things that are part of like the technical aspect of things, wherein you need to address exactly what lives where, and how are you kind of giving the search engines a signal that this is where the right things are found for this specific problem. And as our friends at SEMrush have clearly mentioned, so activities on your website that directly impact the indexing and crawling of your site by search engines is part of technical SEO. So that's one of the important pillars. Then moving on to the second pillar, which is on page SEO. So on page SEO is nothing but something that you're building out the entire home or the entire building. Like, so you're building out the pillars, you're building out the columns, you're ensuring that every wall brick, everything is kind of layered out in a way that everything is in the right place. And so that's exactly how you look at content as well. So you need to be kind of building out content pieces that address different search intent for the users that you cater to with the brand that you are representing. Or if it's an e-commerce platform, then all the kind of product categories and catalog or SKUs that you have. So those kind of activities which are more pertaining to how you are optimizing the content on your website, so be it in terms of actual producing the content, or even optimizing something like the title tags or the meta descriptions. So just to kind of give you an example, when you're looking for anything on Google, right, you will see a list of results. Some of them are bolded results, some of them are probably blue links. So those are primarily what the title tags are. And they are something that a webmaster or the web administrator or the SEO can actually define by using plugins, or even defining it in HTML code, depending on what the CMS is built on, and stuff like that. The meta description is primarily a supporting text for the title tag, which kind of gives more information for the user to probably take a decision if this is the right search result for them. So as you will see, like those bolded search results and the blue links, you will see some text following after that. And those are primarily what the meta descriptions are. That again is something that a user uh, can kind of just get a better understanding of what that search result actually means for them, and whether it makes sense for them to kind of click through and actually explore the content for addressing their need. H tag optimization is again like the bolded text that you see on page on a blog, or probably a product page again, wherein you have something called as header tags. Header tags are nothing but part of the kind of structured data approach towards how you lay out your content, just so that it becomes easier for even Google, firstly, to understand like what are the important aspects of the content piece that you're covering in a specific landing page or a blog. And that way it also enables Google to reward or kind of demote search results based on how well you are addressing or supporting the search intent of a user for a specific search query. And internal linking is very important, and sometimes kind of what a lot of SEOs probably don't focus on, primarily because they are more working towards either off-page activities or probably even technical SEO for that matter. So internal linking is nothing but kind of think of it as you as the site owner being able to connect the dots for the user by using different content pieces on your website to help them navigate and understand a search query better. So, internal linking is almost like you are creating a search engine within your domain property itself for the user to be able to take a wiser and more informed decision towards their buyer's journey. So it's primarily you are helping the user better understand a topic with more in-depth coverage with different content pieces. And that is something that probably we'll get to when we talk about the intent funnel and the buyer's journey, and how content plays a big role in that. And so yeah, I mean, those are some of the activities that are kind of encapsulated within on-page SEO. And again, as our friends at SEMrush have defined it, so all the activities on your website that help search engines to better understand and rank your content is something that gets clubbed under on-page SEO. And finally, the third pillar, which is off-page SEO, and this is something that you as the kind of web owner or the SEO probably doesn't have a lot of control over, primarily because it is something that you're building through associations with other webmasters and other kind of guest bloggers and those aspects, and even using platforms like social media or podcasts, or even kind of reaching out to review platforms to probably review your product or your services and stuff like that. So this is nothing but kind of internal linking on steroids, wherein what you are seeing is external kind of web properties and external web domains linking out to you or linking out to your content or citing your content as a perfect example for a user who might have landed up on their kind of product page or landing page to understand that if somebody is looking for the right service or the right product, then it is recommended that you land over at this place. And that is where you are building that topical authority, as well as kind of building more credibility as well for the product or service that you kind of work towards. And so off page activities are primarily to kind of signal to search engines that the product or service that you represent is looked at as an authoritative and credible source for any user to kind of be driven towards and making the final buying decision. So again, all the activities that are done on another platform or website is something that gets clubbed under off-page SEO. So, I mean, yeah, I hope this kind of clarifies some of the fundamentals of SEO and three primary pillars. And I mean, of course, we can discuss this further over Q&A. So feel free to jot down any questions that you might have so that we can get back to it later on. But moving on and just talking about a few of the current trends in SEO. So again, like you'll see artificial intelligence playing a big role in SEO along with machine learning, because eventually that is how search engines evolve. It's primarily kind of built in a way so that they understand exactly what the user is looking for, and also what stage of their buyer's journey are they, and what kind of content piece or kind of just answer to their problem is something that Google tends to find. Voice search is again becoming like a very important piece of the puzzle within SEO, and it's said that almost 70% to 80% of all searches by 2022 are going to be through voice search, and that's a significant kind of percentage, and that only goes on to show how much of emphasis needs to be put on content, because voice search can be also kind of complementary to the zero search results. So when you talk about zero search results, it's primarily the featured snippets that you see for a specific search query. And featured snippets are nothing but, let's say, if you ask a question like, what is the best I don't know, music listening tool, or what is the best kind of streaming platform. So generally you will see that there is and of course, like, this is something that you probably ask Google, or any of, I mean, primarily Google, like I said. So you will see that Google actually reads out the search results that is at the top of search, and primarily these are the ones that you see alongside an image or alongside just bolded text, which is rewarded as the featured snippet based on the authority and the expertise that they hold. Mobile friendliness again is a big kind of impact on search results, primarily because it was probably late or mid 2018 that Google actually switched over to mobile first indexing. So, which means that any search results that you see are primarily first ranked for mobile, and then kind of all the other devices, be it desktop or be it tablets and other kind of devices that you can use as well. And then, yeah, this is again like an important aspect. So content that fulfills the Google eat principle. So what do you mean by eat? Is your expertise, your authoritativeness, and the trustworthiness of the brand or the service that you kind of are working to promote. So, and the way that you build on the eat factor is by leveraging and strengthening the three pillars that we discussed in the previous slide. Long form content continues to kind of help improve SERP results as well. SERP is search engine results page. So that is generally what you see as the results that you see for a specific search query that you type in. So that's again something that is beneficial, primarily because there was also a passage ranking update that came into play in late 2020. So that was again something that enabled long form content to be seen more kind of dominate the SERP results as well, and kind of rewarded for their level of in-depth coverage of a specific topic, and also covering all the semantic keywords along with the primary keyword that you're probably searching for. And semantic keywords are nothing but the supporting keywords for a specific kind of search term that you type. So predictive search, again, a play for AI and machine learning, feature snippets like we spoke about, and also the use of video and images continue to play a big part even as we go into 2022. And of course, local search again becoming very important, along with localization of search as well. And so, yeah, I mean, just to kind of predict the future in a way. So what we'll see in the near future is we'll get to see Google Lens, which is primarily for Google to kind of do some experimentation around even augmented reality and even kind of image search. So that is something that will play a big role along with voice search, YouTube, since we mentioned about the video strategy, and image search, along with, of course, the normal text based search that we all do. All of them will kind of combine forces, supported with the localization and how well the web property kind of addresses accessibility needs. and it will serve like the best content format results for serving the user intent. And this is something that we are already kind of witnessing to see with the MUM update that kind of rolled out from Google, which was similar to BERT. And all of this is kind of again more using like natural language processing and machine learning and artificial intelligence to improve like the search journey for the users. So, I mean, yeah, all of these are fascinating trends that are just catching on, and hopefully, we'll see more kind of search results which are optimized and supporting the search journey for the user to get to the buying stage much sooner. That of course brings us to how and where do we actually create those kind of content pieces to support the buyer funnel. So as again using our friends Semrush, so you'll see that the buying journey is kind of defined as three primary buckets. One is the awareness stage, one is the consideration stage, and one is the decision stage. And within that, of course, like you can have further bifurcation. But think of this as similar to how you probably go about doing your research as well, right? Like, so let's say if you are planning to buy a new laptop or planning to buy a new mobile phone, the first thing that you will probably look for is a probably a brand search, or probably even looking for reviews, or probably looking for something around the features of the laptop or the mobile phone, and see if it kind of fits in with the criteria that probably you have defined for yourself. And that way, the search results that you see are kind of supporting the search intent that you actually typed into the search engine. And that is where like brands and products and services need to be kind of intelligent, and at the same point in time also really understand the buyer's journey and how a user goes about making that decision. So in the informational intent, which is of course more around understanding and exploring, so that is where you will see a lot of search queries with guides or tutorials, or who or how or what and why kind of questions as well. So that is where like, so something like what is the machine learning, or why is Google testing like voice search. So those kind of searches are more informational intent. And let's say if you're looking for best guide for CRM platform, so that way you'll see probably some of the CRM platforms themselves having some guides to kind of help you better understand what is a customer relationship management platform, what are the benefits of using it, what does it enable you to kind of automate and stuff like that. So that is where the informational intent is served with those kind of content pieces. And those can be generally ebooks, blogs, case studies, stuff like that. Then you come into like the pre-consideration or the consideration phase, which is more in terms of either a navigational search, which is of course you're doing more of a branded search, wherein you know that the brand that you want to buy, and probably you're looking for that specific brand and probably a model of the product or a specific service that they have launched. So that way you are kind of going to the brand, exploring the website, getting to that page, and then kind of understanding more about whether that product is a fit for you or not. And then of course you can do a similar search but more broader, wherein it's product or brand agnostic. So you're primarily looking for like terms like uh, best mobile phones for 2021, or the cheapest laptop with some specifications in 2021 and stuff like that. So those are where you will have more the longer form kind of articles and case studies and reviews, wherein it's kind of probably giving you alternates and also talking about like the pros and cons, and probably even addressing like a versus approach between two products. So best kind of thing is how is probably an Android phone matched up versus an Apple phone and stuff like that. So that way you can actually not just educate the user but also kind of trigger them to lean more towards one specific product or solution. And then of course the final stage of the buying funnel is the transactional intent. So that is where the buyer has already made up their mind in terms of what they want to go after, and so they'll be looking for more terms which are probably more brand oriented as well. So like buy Nike some specific model, or the price for uh, like a WordPress kind of website, or coupon codes for a pizza order or something like that. So that's how you can actually create different forms of content pieces for addressing the different kind of search intent as well for the user. And generally the transactional intent is of course more of a checkout page, or probably like a contact us form, or probably even like the pricing page on specific product and service websites. So that way you know like how to reach your audience exactly where they are in their buying stage. So that kind of course plays up the on-page SEO aspect in terms of helping you build out the different kind of content pillars and creating that journey for the user to kind of go from the informational stage to the commercial intent to the transactional intent. And that brings us of course in terms of, so what are some of those free and paid tools out there. And of course with the primary search engine being Google, so you have the Google Search Console, Google Analytics, and the Data Studio. And so these three are kind of Google products, wherein the Search Console and Analytics kind of come together when you just register your site with a Google account, and that way you have access to exactly understanding like what keywords are probably getting clicks, impressions, and how is the click through rate as well. So click through rate is nothing but the percentage of impressions that convert into a click, and also gives you an understanding of how you are getting as an average rank for the specific keyword. And analytics gives you a deeper dive in terms of the traffic data for your specific domain, also gives you an understanding of the demographics. So whether it's gender based kind of results, or even if you're looking for specific kind of cities or states, if you are functioning specifically for a region. And also it allows you to kind of just understand the buyer's journey as well, because you can probably set up like just tracking in a way that you can understand the buyer funnel as well. So whether they are coming to the homepage, discovering content through a blog, or probably going to a case study, and then probably going to the pricing page or the checkout page to kind of do the final kind of information share with you. The Data Studio is something that is basically used for reporting and also data visualization. So that kind of works as an API integration with the Search Console and Analytics, so that you can build out like customizable reports which are automated, and also something that can be scheduled as well to be sent out to whoever needs to be seeing those reports. Google Trends is just trends.google.com. It's a fun tool just to kind of understand how a specific keyword is trending. So, just if you want to test it out, you can probably look for how a keyword like IPL is trending within, let's say, the last 2 months versus the last 2 weeks. So that way you'll see like how the trends have changed. You can also kind of narrow it down to specific regions, cities, and also compare it with other keywords that you feel are also trending in a specific way. So it just gives you a matter of fact kind of understanding of how a specific keyword is trending in Google search results. uh, KW Finder or Keyword Finder is a free fun tool that you can use just when you're doing the keyword research, or probably even trying to look for semantic keywords to support the primary intent of the keyword that you identified. Answer the Public is again an amazing tool for you to kind of build out your content strategy, wherein you are kind of addressing all the kind of people also ask kind of question, or probably even kind of making it more informational and kind of focused towards answering all kind of probable questions that a user might have around a specific keyword. SEO ability is more kind of tuned towards helping you the with technical SEO. So just to understand what number of pages are indexed, how is the crawlability of your site, what is the kind of site health as well, like broken pages and like redirects and stuff like that. So it helps you identify that. In terms of the paid tools, I know, I mean, Screaming Frog allows you for kind of doing a crawl for about 500 URLs on the free version. So if you like run a small blog or run a small website, I mean, you can still use it as a free tool, but I mean, it's recommended to going for the paid version, which is, I think, an annual subscription, not much. And similarly, you have SEMrush, Ahrefs, Moz. All three are great SEO tools used by all SEO professionals, agencies, companies, just to kind of do all the fun aspects that we spoke about in terms of the three pillars. And Surfer SEO is a great content writing tool or a content support tool, which enables the content team to kind of create more optimized content which caters to the right kind of keyword intent, and also kind of addresses the gaps that can be probably in a content piece. So that's a great tool to check out. Hotjar is a great kind of tool to just understand how the users are interacting with your website or your web platform. So what it does, it embeds a code on your website through which you get an understanding of what is like the scroll depth of the user on your website, on specific pages, landing pages, and also it gives you exactly how they are interacting with the different elements on that landing page as well, whether they are clicking on like read more, or clicking on like a contact us button. And then you can actually understand if people are probably not coming to the final stage, and kind of probably leading to more bounce rates on your website. So that kind of gives you an understanding of how well you can probably improve or optimize a few things which can improve your conversion rates on your website. And finally, Hunter.io is more of an email outreach tool that can help with your off-page SEO, and it's a great tool that even sales professionals use just to kind of get access to email IDs for different publications, organizations, and where you can actually do more of the automated outreach as well, to kind of look for potential link placements for your brand or service. And I mean, of course, like once you have reached a stage with the hands-on experience and kind of building that expertise around SEO, the other way of kind of growing in the field and kind of leveling up your game is to go two ways. One is, of course, you can become more of a generalist, wherein you are kind of becoming more of a T-shaped marketer, wherein, of course, like you've built your kind of depth of knowledge in SEO, and so you're wanting to kind of build your width of knowledge with content marketing, email marketing, paid marketing, social media, Now you have even account based marketing and even influencer marketing for the matter. So I mean, the opportunities and the potential to kind of grow your knowledge is endless, and it's all dependent on which way would you want to go. Would you want to kind of be more building out the width, or further kind of going in depth in your SEO industry, I mean career as well. The other aspect of looking at it is kind of how you can probably go on to become like a SEO product manager or a SEO product lead, wherein what you are doing is primarily working more closely in various aspects of product marketing, sales, and even like customer success, in terms of building out a strategy which enables you to do exactly what the consumers want and what your brand or product does best. So as you can see in that visual, so the winning zone is what a lot of product and services lose out in terms of identifying and making that work for them. So that is where, like, when you are you have an understanding of your product, you have an understanding of the market, and you have an understanding of exactly what is the void that you as the product or service are filling. That is where you can actually have a direct impact on the bottom line of the business. So it's kind of more revenue oriented also, wherein you're working more closely with senior leadership in terms of identifying the gaps that are potentially there in your product or platform as well, and working towards addressing that by doing more competitive research, building out battle cards, and kind of figuring out exactly what is that void that you can fill to just make your product or service more profitable. And which, of course, eventually brings us to the core skills required for being or building a career in SEO. So we spoke about all the hard skills, which was the keyword intent research, the competitor research, the on-page SEO aspect, technical SEO, off-page SEO, mobile SEO, and even local SEO. So those are, of course, like the hard skills which comes with hands-on experience, working in a fast-paced kind of environment, cross collaborating with different teams, and understanding exactly how SEO is able to support the growth of the product or service that you're part of. But of course, like with the hard skills also needs complementary soft skills, and that is what kind of enables you to kind of not just grow as a professional, but also kind of be more of an evangelist for SEO within the organization that you're a part of. So curiosity, I mean, that is something that I always look for when even I'm hiring for people on my team, or even employers in general. Like when they're hiring for an SEO, curiosity is something that is a very important aspect that people look at, because unless and until you have that hunger to know more, learn more, and understand how things work and how you can play a part in terms of enabling that kind of uh, pretty organic and kind of seamless journey for a potential kind of buyer to make that decision using your product or service, that is very important to kind of have as a professional who is in the SEO industry. And of course, with curiosity, there is also the aspect of critical thinking, because there's one thing that you have to sometimes think fast on your feet, but then there is also the aspect of ensuring that whatever decision that you make or that you recommend is supporting the eventual kind of growth and kind of helps the business to prosper. So critical thinking becomes very important as well when you are kind of getting buy-in for some of the kind of recommendations that you make, and you need to kind of keep all the pros and cons on the table as well, in terms of drawing up implications of, if these recommendations are not implemented, these are the cons, and if these are implemented, these are the pros. And also you need to kind of build out a plan in terms of, if something goes wrong, what is the way that you can switch back or roll back to probably doing it the earlier way. Because I mean, as marketing, SEO is also something that you have to do a lot of testing, a lot of experimentation, and kind of really understand exactly how you are enabling the business to do better, which of course comes with having strong communication skills, because that is how you are able to kind of have that communication with the different teams and different stakeholders to kind of get buy-in, and also kind of have that discussions with them in terms of firstly making them understand why it's important to do something, and also what can be the positive and the negative implications of not getting that done, which comes with a lot of ownership and accountability, time management, project management, and of course, like, it's very important to always have a growth mindset. And that is where, like, people with growth mindset are easily adaptable to different and difficult situations, and that is very important in SEO. Because think of it this way, like, if something goes right, like, it's of course something that you did which was always triggered to kind of do the right thing for the business. But if something goes wrong, like, you are of course right in front of everyone's eye, because it's based on your recommendations that things were made or changes were made. So I mean, yeah, it's very important for you to be able to pivot your strategy, also kind of have that level of confidence in terms of talking to the various stakeholders and kind of enabling them to also understand that SEO is a long-term strategy. It's not money in, result out, in terms of how Google Ads or paid search works. And it needs to be a lot more strategic. It needs to be a lot more pragmatic, and it also needs to have a lot of patience in terms of getting things done the right way versus getting things done just for the sake of it. So all those aspects is something that will come with the growth mindset as well, wherein you are trying to build that equity and also the collaborative environment towards everyone buying into the importance of SEO. And yeah, I'll just leave this with this kind of fun meme, as we call it, wherein it's just the tip of the iceberg that everyone sees in terms of what SEO is, but everything that's happening under the water is what exactly a life or a day in the life of an SEO looks like. I think, yeah, that's the end of the presentation, and we can open up to Q&A.
Awesome. So if you guys have questions, please go ahead, drop it in the chat. Or if you feel brave enough to unmute, please go ahead and do that. Um, this is the point where you can ask questions. So go ahead. Let me start with the first one while these guys are thinking about questions. What does a day-to-day look like for an SEO generalist? Not someone who is like very specifically doing technical or content. What is just like an everyday with a company that just has one person doing SEO? What does that person's day look like?
Yeah, great question, Joanna. So, I mean, definitely it's a lot to do with planning and also a lot of meetings. So, firstly, you build out a strategy based on the conversations that you have had with probably the product marketing team, the content marketing team, as well as there is a specific team nowadays in organizations, which is the demand generation team, which is more triggered to kind of impact revenue directly and working closely with sales. So it's just a matter of understanding where are probably some of the need gaps. It could be that there is a new product launch that is coming through, and you are wanting to kind of support that initiative with probably a landing page or probably even like a blog. So it kind of boils down to doing that keyword research, doing the competitor research, understanding like what exactly the intent of that content piece should look like, and then You are then kind of educating the content team to kind of build out the content based on a content brief that you provide them. So the content brief would be more on the lines of the kind of keywords to use within the content, also kind of even recommending like what should be the probable header tags, also kind of laying it down to probably even breaking it down in terms of what those different content piece within that landing page should kind of address and cater to. And finally, of course, getting the product team and probably even the customer success team to look at the final piece of content to see if it kind of aligns with what is the need for the product. And that way, I mean, it's a very service driven kind of role, because eventually what you're doing is only enabling other teams to do their kind of work better, and also meet like organizational and business goals. So it's a lot of collaboration, it's a lot of strategy work, it's a lot of kind of also building out briefs and roadmaps so that it enables other teams to kind of do their work better as well.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. For someone who is not very technical, they might even need like help from the tech team, right? To create those web pages and landing pages and link in all of the right, end pages and those call to action buttons and all of that. So, is that a normal thing, or does one person kind of do all of these things?
Yeah, I mean, generally, like the content team is also enabled to kind of create new pages and
Okay.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
add the content on those. And then, of course, you work with probably the graphic designers to help with I mean, the visual aspect of things.
Right. So it's really between a lot of teams.
Exactly, yeah. So, and
Understood.
that
Okay.
is that is where like communication and also like giving an exact brief is very important.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. Because if you don't give the brief properly, then they're probably going to do something else. Understood. Understood. Awesome. Do you guys have any questions? Okay, questions have started. Tina has a question about.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Tuds, to answer your question. So yeah, I mean, hreflang is primarily set in a way where you are looking to geographically target many regions, right? So let's say if you are having a website which is global, so and you are catering to, let's say, an audience in US, in UK, in Germany, in Spain. So you will generally see that you have even the difference between US and UK would be an EN US and ENGB or something like that. And that's where you are kind of defining like what should a di- like a specific content be read in different languages and different regions. And you basically define it within either your sitemap or even within your page level. And how you set it is you always have an X default for hreflang. I mean, it's a little technical, but I mean, generally you would probably work with a tech SEO or a developer to kind of also get this implemented. But what hreflang primarily does is enables you to kind of geo target different regions and also create different kind of content for those specific regions, either in different languages or even in language styles. So difference between US and UK would be that color is spelled COLOR in US versus COLOUR in the UK. So stuff like that. I hope that answers your question. SEO specialists must be good in content writing and digital marketing both. I would say if, and this is of course answering Mariah, if I'm again pronouncing you correctly, sorry if I'm not, but I mean, yeah, I would say a good SEO needs to kind of also upskill towards content writing, primarily because you would be in a good place if you are able to kind of at least write out the title tags and the meta descriptions for the content team to kind of probably fine tune or massage just to kind of make it more like readable, but in a way that it's ideal if the SEO specialist can actually also write good content. And digital marketing, of course, like I mentioned, if you want to upskill and kind of grow in the SEO industry, it's important to become like that T-shaped marketer, uh, just so that you have a better understanding of how all the other kind of digital marketing channels work. What is the biggest challenge in SEO? I would say just countering all the algorithm updates that we go through. So just last year we had three like broad core algorithm updates. This year we've already had two back to back, one in June, one in July, and but yeah, I mean, it's all about kind of also doing the right things, right? Like you can't always be at the top of the search results, so it's a matter of kind of just following the process, following the best practices, continue doing what is important in terms of getting your product or service searchable, and also probably in the top three search results, because number one search ranking is very overrated, I would say, and eventually SEO nowadays is more kind of supporting revenue goals versus anything else. So if you are ranking number one but are not getting conversions for the business, it doesn't really matter where you are ranking. But if you are probably even ranking three or four and getting good conversions for your business and improving on the conversion rate optimization as well, so those things are more important. Importance of coding knowledge for SEO. God's favor, I would say, like at least some level of understanding of HTML and CSS is more important. I know that you can even further upskill and get into more technical aspects by doing probably Python or SQL, and probably even go deeper into those kind of languages. But I would still say that just having a preliminary understanding of HTML and CSS is good enough to kind of build a successful career in SEO. And that's the thing, right? Like eventually you need to also understand what exactly would you want to kind of build your career around as well. Arthur, I think you have a question.
Hi, Siddharth. Yeah, thank you for the presentation. It was all good. I have question regarding like I'm managing the SEO of one client. Like his PA is 10 and DA is 20. So he want me to like rank for the services service page keyword. So I need suggestion where to focus. Like I, because the website already has a low DA, so where should I focus on DA, or like like page 30 or PA? So for PA I'm doing like articles for guest posting and web 2.0, like backlinks. So other than these two, guest posting and web 2.0, where should I focus for PA, or and like I should focus on PA or DA?
I mean, yeah, I mean, great question. And Arthur, if you don't mind repeating, what is the exact service that you're wanting to kind of rank for, or what is
Yeah,
the
like
keyword?
it's a like medical services in the UK.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I mean, so I mean, just to kind of firstly answer the question around PA and DA. So, I mean, all of these are good kind of metrics to look at, but eventually don't directly kind of have an impact on the kind of rankings per se, because eventually these are kind of metrics that have been devised by the tools like Moz, SEMrush, and Ahrefs. And I mean, just for everyone's knowledge, PA is page authority, or PR is page ranking, and DA is domain authority, and DR is domain rating. So something on those lines. But in your case, Athar, specifically, what I would recommend doing, apart from of course the guest blogging and the guest posts, is also looking at some of the competitors, in terms of probably there are a few services that you I mean, the client that you're working with doesn't have, or probably it could be also coming down to the price advantage that competition has, or even in specific in terms of just the localization of that search result as well. So I don't know if being, I mean, as you mentioned, it's specific for a UK client. So probably you would want to also work more closely with kind of review sites or probably product listing sites in the UK to kind of get your product listed there or your service listed there, and kind of get citations from there as well. So that will of course also help with the moving of the DA and PA index, but eventually it's more about kind of catering towards the audience's need. So if you find any kind of gap that you are able to fill either with newer content or probably even with a price kind of competition that you are facing, that would probably be helpful as well.
Yeah, thank you, Siddharth. So, I can work on page authority.
Yeah.
Siddharth, I think you missed one question from Sophia. She says that in off-page SEO,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Do you need to ask permission from each website to use in the content writing or just hyperlink to the words? Hmm. I don't really understand the question, but I'll try and answer it, Sophia. So, from what I'm understanding is, if you are reaching out to other websites to kind of link out to you, it's generally something that you do through a discovery, wherein you are looking for probably some sort of broken links that they have on their website, wherein let's say they are linking to one of your competition, and probably that page is broken or probably that information is dated. So what you're doing is like an email outreach to them and saying that, hey, I see that you are working in this space and I like the fact that you are putting out great content, and this is something that I came across which currently is probably providing a bad user experience for the users that discover your content. So I was wondering if you would want to link out to a more updated content piece and more reliable, trustworthy kind of source, and you can link out to the blog, or I mean, ideally it should be a blog because that is a better way of kind of just driving more informational link juice towards your kind of domain versus linking out to directly a product or service offering, because in the eyes of Google, like even that is probably looked at as a paid kind of acquisition. So sometimes you will see that you will either get a no follow link back or probably even like a sponsored kind of link back, and that becomes again where you aren't really getting any link juice to you. So it needs to be a rel follow link that you get from wherever you're trying to get that backlink from. I hope that answers your question. How can we get the latest updates on algorithms that are related to Google? Okay, I can share one quick resource for that. So Moz has a updated kind of page which they use for updating around algorithms. And apart from that, okay, I think that's the only question that you had. Yeah. Yeah. Are there any other questions?
Awesome. If there are no other questions, I think we should wrap it up because we're kind of over the time limit. Thank you so much for being here, Siddharth. Thank you for taking us through all of these different things and giving us a lot of examples to make it easier to understand and for answering all of these questions. We really hope that you come back and do another session with us very soon, because I think there's a lot to unpack just within SEO, which is so new to students and recent graduates. So we'd definitely love to have you back here. So thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna, and awesome chatting with everyone. Thank you for all the questions, and yeah, great to see that everyone found it useful.
Thank you so much for all of you guys for being here, for spending an hour with us. I hope